Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Small Business Success Talk. Now, right off the bat, I always want to say thank you to you as a listener because I know that you've either gotten here for the very first time and you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, or you are a regular participant with Small Business Success Talk. So, what do we do around here? Normally, I have a guest that I spotlight and we talk about their business and how they got into their business, their origin story, the things that just really drive them in their dream to bring that dream to life. And like, really, it's just really good conversation about how they did it, what they're doing, what drives them, why are they motivated to do this, what they really want to accomplish in the world, and then ultimately, what does success look like for them? Because success looks a little different for everybody, and rarely is it the number on the ledger as the bottom line revenue or profit margin. Like, while we all as business owners understand we need to bring the money in to not only pay the bills but to do more things, when we focus specifically on just the money all of the time, we're missing the actual target. So this is that kind of show that shows you there are other things going on, and you're not in this small business boat alone. We are a collective of business owners that we've been there, done that. We we share those challenges together as well. Eventually we'll have a group that started out there somehow. But I know when I do, every time I do one of these shows, these episodes, I get great feedback, even at a networking event. So if I'm out in person with somebody, we talk about an episode that has hit them. And oh my gosh, they went through the same thing I'm going through right now. It was great to hear that. Having these episodes that where I have, little higher level CEOs or what I call celebrities, because I'm still flabbergasted that Jordan Babineau actually would sit and talk with me on this podcast. So having an NFL star, so to speak, an NFL player transitioning into his own business, that talking about that is just as important as talking to the person who left a corporate life and has started their own business. So when we talk about small business success talk, everybody's coming from a whole different facet of this beautiful gem that shines like diamonds in the sky. So when you come to these shows, I'm hoping that you leave with some nugget of useful information that you can apply to your own business, or if you're thinking about starting a business. But the other thing is, I hope that you are also inspired to keep going. If you are actually in the middle of a shitstorm, that there's an end to that, but you also know that there's another one coming at some point along the way. This show is meant to give you some of that hope, to show you maybe new ways of thinking about stuff, or, oh my gosh, they are doing the same thing I'm going through, those kinds of things. So with all of that to be said, where I get a lot of my own inspiration is through my sponsor partner, the Chamber of St. Matthews. I bring them up all the time because we do have a trade sponsorship. So I am what's called an affinity partner for that chamber. That means that my business has been vetted and I offer discounts to the membership through my business services. And then I mention them as a sponsor partner here. So that's why but I would still mention them. This is just the thing. A chamber of commerce is there traditionally to be a resource for businesses and the community on what businesses are in the community. Chambers are evolving, and the Chamber of St. Matthews is no different. If they have not come, like any other association out there, if they have not come through the pandemic making adjustments, they're dying on the vine, so to speak. So every single organization, business, solopreneur, we have had to make a lot of fast changes. We're probably all feeling it now in the sense that, you may have that your internal batteries are dead. So today's episode, I'm going to share with you my own story. a little bit, not everything, because nobody's got time for that. There's just a whole lot going on. And how it also relates to today's marketplace. We talk about the employee market, the labor market, the labor market, not so to speak, but the labor market, the consumer market, the marketplace in general, where people come to do and get together. The reality of a marketplace is that I'm exchanging time and resources for more time and resources, whether that be I'm getting paid to do things for somebody that has a need, or I am paying somebody else to do things for me because I have a need. I am buying a thing that fits a need, or really, let's face it, it's a want. Do we really, do I really need ice cream? No. But I have totally convinced myself there are days that I do, which has only been this week. Honestly, I haven't had ice cream for a few months. Surprisingly enough, it's not my normal go-to. Now, Reese cups, those would be a go-to. Chocolate covered cherries, my own homemade chocolate covered cherries. I don't make them very often for a very specific reason. So anyway, as I digress. And yes, you can make your own homemade chocolate covered cherries. The whole thing about we've ad nauseum talked about pivoting and adapting. What we've not gone into now is intentionally evolving. So I might seem a little all over the place, but I want the common thread today. So before I get too far in the weeds, I want the common thread today to be about this LinkedIn, this is professional campaign. Now, why? Because this has kind of been in the forefront of my thoughts now since I saw the first commercial for it. LinkedIn has a new campaign, hashtag this is professional. They can do little 5-second bursts, 15-second commercials. Like it's well done enough that I'm like, oh, my interest is piqued. You're right. Things don't look the same. Professional doesn't mean the same as it did in 2018. We're only in 2022. It's like 4 years ago. The instant March came about, like the middle of March, end of March in 2022, everything was different. If you could not set aside your preconceived notions and judgment about what professional looked like, sounded like, behaved, you were not going to make it. You had to be okay with the technology change of people are going home to work, or you are having a skeleton staff. Let's talk about manufacturing for a second. Skeleton staffs, like you have to totally change. You have to reduce that which you are like the amount that you're producing had to be cut tremendously because you don't have the staff to do what you did before. You can't keep that up. So all of that, when restaurants close, in the B2B world, we talk a lot about everybody moved to Zoom. Well, technically, no, not everybody did. What happened is you either worked or you didn't in some industries. Some verticals like manufacturing, you either worked or you didn't. And if you were closed down, what the hell? Like, what are you going to do now? Trying to figure that out. So the Federal Reserve did our area of Federal Reserve regionally here had a great session on the numbers behind this concept of the Great Resignation. Okay. So some basic numbers. And there was a handful of things that were going on in this presentation that are like, oh yeah, there's additional data, not just what the media says. So strong star point here, star thought. Incorporate this into your living being. Do not go by headlines as truth. Like it is totally not the entire story. So anything that the media in general puts out, a headline does not actually tell the story. A headline does not actually tell the story. One more time. A headline does not actually tell the story. A headline is only to grab your attention and hopefully make you curious enough to click through to read or click through to the junk page that has no real information to it. Like they just want the click through. The headline is there to grab your attention. A headline does not tell the story. Now, headlines meaning the Great Resignation, people just don't want to work. Like that has then become the second sentence of the Great Resignation. People just don't want to work. That has become this whole judgment. Well, people just don't want to work. No, that's not it, really, at all. There is a subset of people out there, absolutely, that just said, fuck it, I don't want to do anything. And there's all kinds of then reasons as to why they don't want to do anything. Sure, the government can pay for them. That's a subset of that. Other people are like, I just can't handle this right now. And that's okay, right? Understanding I just can't handle it anymore. Let's not forget the generational impact in our labor force, our labor market. The two biggest generations in our labor market are baby boomers and millennials. Poor Gen Xers like me are just sitting here going, what the hell's wrong with you people? This is like our mantra all the time as a Gen Xer. This is what I do. What is wrong with you? And then I look to the other side. What is wrong with you? They're like, we just have to get the work done. Okay, I get it. We are also burnout. Those that have worked tenure enough that they're like, I'm out. There's a great retirement. So this resignation also includes those people who are ready for retirement and they have retired out of that market, out of that position. Back to the chamber world, that is one of the things that has happened for organizations that have had the boomer generation in those C-suite levels. The boomers are like, I don't want to have to deal with all of this. I'm out. Good luck to all y'all. Maybe they didn't say that on their way out, but they just became really tired. Like they didn't know what to do. This is new. This whole shutting the entire planet down was new for everybody at this state of history. So here we are just trying to, figure it out from day to day. And there's a whole big chunk who have resigned because they're going to retire. So they just left. Okay. So then what happens? Well, then you've got other people who are like, that's it, I'm out. I just don't want to do it because I'm so frustrated. Or the better part of this great resignation. So you've got those that just don't want to work either through retirement or they're like, I've had enough, or I just want somebody else to take care of me. Sure. But then it's not just like they are resigning from one position to move to something else. So it's actually more not just a resignation, like I give up. It's I am sick of your shit and I am going to go do something better for me. That is the part that then becomes, let's talk about this is professional. When people are leaving their jobs because management is piss poor, I totally get it. I should have done that a lot in my life. I just didn't because I grew up as a Gen Xer in the environment that I grew up in as a career, that you stuck with that job until you were let go. You didn't just leave a job because you didn't like to do the work. You worked through it. You just dealt with it. And I think that's a Gen X quality. We were just in that state of you just dealt with it. And this is how we got those great workshops of how to deal with difficult people. I probably was the difficult person because I didn't even I don't want to deal with things. I just leave me alone. I'll do the work. Well, and then if I had ideas, nobody would listen to me. And that could go for all kinds of reasons, pick a reason. My weight has always been an issue for me. Since I was 16, I had, I can't believe I'm saying this one. Well, it's not like I haven't said it out loud before. I worked a summer job. My mom was a legal secretary. I worked a summer job as a clerk in a law firm in Louisville. At the time, I lived out in the country, like an hour away. It's affectionately called BFE. And if you know where that is, then you know the kind of life I lived growing up. To come to the quote unquote big city of Louisville was a big deal at 16 years old. I wore a dress one day. I was not a dress wearer. I will rarely wear a dress. Rarely. And it stems from this moment I'm getting ready to tell you. I wore a dress one day. I was so proud of this dress. And again, I'm 16. Now I'm not a size 16, okay? But I'm also not my current size 16. I was told I was fat pretty much my entire life since I was 5 years old. So I get to this point of being 16 years old. I'm a junior in high school, my junior year summer. I'm not stupid. I can handle myself. But when the partner of the law firm walks into the copy room, I'm in this dress in the copy room doing my clerking job. I say, "Good morning, Mr. So-and-so." And he said, "Well, look at you, Christy. He's like, you would look really great in that dress if you weren't so fat." As serious as a heart attack, and then turned around and walked out. Okay, well, that's a piss poor manager. Okay. That's going to be one of those. We'll just leave that right there where that is. Okay. So that seed was already there, and he fertilized that seed that was already in me as to I would be pretty if I wasn't so fat. That has lasted for years, decades even. That moment also told me I'm always judged on not just behavior, but how I look anywhere I go, but definitely in my job. Continue to go from job to job to job. I've worked in radio. I've worked in ad agencies. My looks mattered, especially as a woman. Let's not forget that part. My looks mattered. My personality definitely mattered. Your attitude, extreme level mattered. You could not show up in a bad mood at all. God forbid I ever showed a tear anywhere. Like I was upset about anything. You can't cry. There is no crying in business. I was told by a boss, and this was in 2008, by my boomer boss, that if I showed emotion in business, I would never be successful. And this was after I held in my absolute rage during a confrontational conversation that they pulled a couple of us in. A lady had an issue with me, the way I handled the office move. I handled the office move almost flawlessly, but we were missing. There was a little plastic panel that goes over the where you plug in the cord on your printer. So this is a black and white printer, the box style, little small box style. And then on the side of that printer, there's a little thin plastic panel that just covers where the cord goes for, aesthetics. She was pissed because I lost that panel. She was so pissed. She was in my face across my desk screaming at me. And I told her she needed to walk away. She needed to leave me alone, and she would not move. And so I did. I grabbed my stuff and I left for the day, called the boss on duty and said, "I will be back when she leaves for the day. I'll finish my work, and then go home after that. But for the moment, I'm going to the bookstore, the library. I will be back." They waited 2 weeks to have the conversation between me and this lady. So that was already piss poor management. And the second was sitting there in this conversation about this stuff. She's yelling at me again. They didn't do anything. And only for me to be told, I held it in. There was no reason for me to voice any sort of an opinion because it didn't matter anyway. So I just tried to remain as calm as possible. I doodled on my little paper. I would look up and nod. Yes, this is what here's the facts of the matter. Blah, 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 blah. But then right after that is when my boss said, "If you show emotion, you will not be successful." And he came to me at a moment whenever I stayed in the room so that I could just look like there was a window looking out into the, into the expanse. And I'm like, I just need a moment to not look at anybody else. I will just do this here. Like I had some coping mechanisms, some self management things, but when he said that, it set the tone. There was not going to be a career advancement because I was too emotional. There was not, and I did not have a freaking PhD. And according to him, you have to have a higher level education. It was just a crazy mess. I have been told certain things as to what is professional my entire career. Fast forward to me being completely on my own in business. So I am the founder and owner and runner, operator of my businesses. I now have multiple businesses. I take it back. One of these I'm a partner in, so I don't actually run that one, but I'm accessible. Those things from my past still affect me today. I have to then go back to these moments of what about that works well for me and does not work well for me? And then what about that has caused me to be behaving or thinking in such a way that it's affecting others? And is that helpful or not only to them as an individual, but to my own business? All right. So I had a coaching session with a young lady. She's straight up, she's a millennial and she thoroughly hates it that she's a geriatric millennial. I crack my shit up every time she says it. I'm like, who came up with that? Can you not just say millennial? But apparently not, because even in that millennials, you have the subsets. So anyway, I feel for her. I had her as part of an assignment because, again, back in the day, and I'm reaching. So for those of you who can't see this on screen, I'm reaching for a book. Part of her assignment one session was to read The 1 Minute Manager. Now, this 1 Minute Manager has been updated. It's I'm sure, a few times over since then. At the point of this, more than 7 million copies sold worldwide. It's written by Kenneth Blanchard, PhD, and Spencer Johnson, MD, who was the author of Who Moved My Cheese, which was also another great book. I got this book in 2010. Okay. This book is dated. Let's see. Oh, Ken Blanchard also wrote Raving Fans, by the way. So let me see. Copyright 1982. Never paid attention till just now. Okay, so that dates this. All right. So while my bookshelf over here, I'm looking and I've got hundreds of books. All throughout the place. Now, a lot, I would say not anyway. I got Wonder Woman stuff too. Let's make no mistake. But I've got a wealth of knowledge on these shelves. And it does run a span from stuff from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, even, the latest from 2015 to 18, 19. So I've got a lot of things, like I keep regenerating great ideas. Because things evolve. This is another reason why it's great to continuing professional development is highly important. Because when I had her do this, she came back to me with some really interesting insights as a millennial. This book is told in the style of a story. Okay. So it's not a do this and you get that, or it's not tactical. It's very, very story driven. I've got things and pages in here that are highlighted of what I got out of it at the time. And I've highlighted one specific that's helped people reach their full potential, catch them doing something right. And I was like, yes, I like validation and a good attention. I don't like to be told you suck at this. So, I mean, there's aspects of this. Now, mind you, I think I'm the type of person that if I see something that I just don't agree with, I just skip over it. Like, I don't let it sit and I don't worry about those things because I'm like, does that really affect me? But that's going to be me. That's going to be me. Let me just clarify that. So, she came back and she's like, first of all, she's like, you need to understand. I'm reading this like a millennial. And I was like, oh. So apparently there's some things in here that she was like, yeah, no, that's not acceptable behavior. I'm going to have to read this book again to see because there's a lot of things I've forgotten. Because now at this stage, if I pull this book open, I just go to my highlighted section. So if you've ever read 1 Minute Manager, for me, I love highlighting the get to the point parts about, so for example, 1 minute goal setting is simply one, agree on your goals. Two, see what good behavior looks like. Three, write out each of your goals on a single sheet of paper using less than 250 words. Keep it short and simple. Four, read and reread each goal, which requires only a minute or so of each of your time to do it. 1 minute. Five, take a minute every once in a while out of your day to look at your performance. And six, see whether or not your behavior matches your goal. Like, that's a good, just get to the point. It was the storytelling of it that was driving her crazy because it was very dated professional behavior, very dated. There's some great nuggets out of here. And she did take the great nuggets so that we could apply to her ongoing leadership professional training and development. All of that to be said, okay, that was the funny thing about this. This book is still great, but you need to understand when you're picking it up, it's also dated as in the professional realm that we're in now. And the professional realm that we're in now just changed like overnight in 2020. We got an inside glimpse into lives of our people very clearly. You saw people either share things on social that you never thought they would, or even during meetings. So for those businesses that run offices, you're having these team meetings now virtually. You're seeing into their home space, the kids, the cats, the dirty dishes, the whatever, the boxer shorts. Sometimes you might even see their bathroom. Like, you never know what's going to happen because the professional looks different. So back to LinkedIn, this is professional series. That commercial started me thinking about all of this stuff from my own past. What is professional look and feel and mean experience to how is that playing out for me now? And is it keeping pace with what my people need? Is it keeping pace with, and when I say my people, it's not just my employees, it is also my committees. It's also the organizations I'm a part of. Is it keeping up with what people need from me in the community? Even my friends, how can I support them in their professional endeavors? My family, is it keeping up with everything around me? And am I keeping up for myself? What do I need professional to be and to look like? Because while I am not going to do TMI, nobody needs that. There are certain aspects of my day and my attire, and I'm pretty sure everybody would agree with me. I don't care. I don't care what gender you are. I don't care if you are a the, he, she, they, it. I don't care. You would agree with me. Comfort trumps fashion. Like, if I don't want to wear certain articles on my body at a given day, I don't have to because I work from home. I have a home office. I rarely, when I do have people over, I will put on certain articles of clothing to be more professionally presentable for them. But if I'm here at home on any given day, yeah, no. I've got the tattered whatever because it's comfortable. I have less restriction on my upper body because that's way more comfortable. Now, the downside of that is when I'm not paying attention to how the public professional attire, yeah, may not fit for Derby Day, for Derby week like I want it to. Gotta work on that one now. Anyway, stress does a lot to the body. So I think about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm holding myself. But here's the next step of that. We all love to be comfortable, wear your gym shorts at home or your yoga pants or whatever. We all want to be comfortable. Where I struggle is that I know I need to be out here in the digital world. Like I need to be out, that I am going to be what sells my business fastest. The relationship somebody has with me is a reflection of what it would be like to work with my team. I need to be out here so we develop this relationship faster. But do you really want to have a relationship with somebody who walks around their house and what I look like in a day? Probably not. So I have my publicly presentable professional, which is different. It's different, but I can't give up my comfortable sandals. I have a hard time wearing professional shoes. It's just not going to happen. And I've been called out for it. And I've been told I don't dress professional enough. Whenever literally I had on Wonder Woman chucks, tuxedo pants, a blouse, and a jacket. And that was not professional enough. I was still floored. But guess who told me that? Guess where that feedback came from? And you'd be right. It was an older boomer. Right? When you have those older boomers, their mindset is that you have to look a certain way to be professional. You have to present yourself in such a way that everybody knows right off the bat that you are a professional. Well, LinkedIn's campaign is saying, no, you don't. That's the impression that the campaign is giving you. Okay. Now, ultimately, the campaign is leading you to use their new feature of gender identification on your profiles. So whether or not you choose to do it is beside the point. The campaign is giving you this feeling of you define what is professional for you and then use this feature. That's how that's working. But I do appreciate what they're starting to put out in the world of what is your definition of professional. And I think at the root of it for me is just like I would be doing business with other people. I want you, while being very authentic, I need you to be honest and truthful with me, be open to telling me things that I may not want to hear, but I need to hear. I need you to do what you say that you're going to do. That's integrity. And I need you to have a high level of integrity. I need you to want to play big and excellent in the world. I love big ideas, but you need to have some damn follow through. If you don't, you're out. I can't do it. And I'm not doing it for you. That is not what happens over here. Those are the things I care about. I don't care if you're coming to the table all tatted up. I don't care if you've got, quite frankly, for all of my friends of color, especially those that can pull off the afros, bring it. But here's the thing. I'm going to clarify this. I am only uncomfortable with your natural hair and all of your tats and all of your hardware on your face. I'm only uncomfortable because I'm sensory distracted. I'm fascinated. I'm completely fascinated. What got you there? Like how did this happen for you? How does that work? Like, I want to re-engineer the things that are going on your body. But that's me. I'm kind of an outlier out there. I don't make judgments. I don't care. I don't care that you're doing it. I probably get uncomfortable only because it's fascinating and I totally get distracted from what I need to bring to the table. So now that I've confessed that, that's out in the world also. But when we think about what is your definition of professional? Like we talk in these episodes about our definition of success. Let's start talking about what is our definition of professional. When we show up fully ourselves, is there a level of professionalism in there that we know, first of all, when to shut the hell up or when to actually step in and say something? When do you lean in and when do you lean back? When do you actually sit at the table, or do you just own the table and let other people use it? Like, understanding where you fit, how are you going to show up? Is there a level of professionalism, and what does that look like for you? For me, level of professionalism is, when you get a group of people together, professionalism shows up when everybody can say what they need to say in a respectful manner and everybody respects it. Doesn't get so worked up. Like, you can be emotional about it. There's times that I've been a part of groups that we've had somebody get really worked up is always the word, but I want to say in the negative, like, it sounds as if they've had real issues and they're very pissed off about it, worked up. Professionalism is for me, I'm allowing you to be worked up, mad about something. But if you are crossing the line of being overly judgmental and using name calling, that's it. That's when I step in and I'm like, yeah, no, you're done. You're done. Like, you've crossed the line. That's too much. I get it, because everybody needs to be yourself. You need to have space in which to say what you want to be able to say. But it's like, let's level up and formulate our words a little better, shall we? I cuss. Admittedly, everybody kind of knows it at this point. As a professional speaker, I make it a point not to cuss from the stage, except maybe under my breath. Like, I might mouth it, but I won't I don't do that because I'm trying to be respectful of the room. I think that is also professional, is being respectful of the other people in the room. And so I will never be an activist. Not my thing. There's plenty of other people out there who have a calling to be an activist. I am not it. I'm not a lobbyist. I'm not going to go persuade somebody. I'm not a political salesperson. That's pretty much what a lobbyist is. I am not that. I am the leader in the room, professional. I'm the strategist. I'm going to help people think things through before they do it, because I think that's the smart thing to do. I think that's also very professional, is having a way of strategically thinking this through before I react. I think having a well thought through response is professional. I think that bringing everybody in and being willing to be vulnerable enough that I don't have all the answers, that I need ideas from different facets of the diamond of my team, that is professional. How I show, like, telling somebody that you can't show emotion, or you won't be, if you show emotion, you won't be successful. That's unprofessional. Like, that's not helpful whatsoever. Professional is helpful. Professional is doing it in a very respectful way without jumping into your, like, I don't want to jump into your mess. I will, but only to hold space so we can clean it up. And then I, set you on your own, because your life is yours and you should take responsibility for that. Wow, man, I am just going all over the place today with these directnesses. Sorry. Must be the week. Whew. Apologize for that. Kind of, maybe. So, couple things out of this. Think back through, like, especially if you're a Gen Xer like me, now's a great time to be thinking through, what were you told by the previous generation as to what professionalism and success actually looks like? And what is the generations below us proving differently? What has remained the same? What has changed? And how can we navigate that so that we can lead our teams? We can lead ourselves, our teams, and the businesses into a much greater, bigger, better, brighter future. We, as the business owners, are in charge of that. We're in charge of ourselves, and we're in charge of all of this. How we show up matters greatly. I just had my own. So as a business coach, I have a coach. It's smart. It's just a wise thing to do. My recent session with my coach, I shared with him a lot of things about I just went on a family trip. It drained me more than I thought it should. And I'm trying to figure out what are new methods I can incorporate in which to rest, release that energy, rest up and recharge. And I have been running on rest, just trying to figure out how I can rest better since 2020, like since before 2020, let's face it. When I relaunched all these businesses in 18, I was already on a quarter tank of gas, if you will. When 2020 hit, I revved up, which was great. I hit the nitro button. Here we go. And then 21, I was like, man, I'm so fucking tired. I just can't. Whew. And those were my days. It's just ever caught yourself not breathing until you take a breath? That's not good. You need to just stop and take multiple big breaths. Like breathe in through the nose, hold it out through the mouth slowly. And like you take it in and then release it. And even just having those kind of moments were very hard for me. And I needed to become more intentional. From that trip, those methods weren't working. So I go to my coach. I'm like, I need this whole thing. Because currently my pipeline is a little on the dry spell, working on things to regenerate some connections and all the things that you should do as a business owner to get more business coming in to create those new opportunities. Well, creation takes energy. And there's been days that I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to do this. And I do it. I'll get out of bed and I will produce. But the energy that I'm putting into it is just kind of, it's okay. It's okay. And it's okay. For me, it's okay. That's acceptable. And I want to get beyond acceptable to excellent. So when I was telling him about this stuff, he's like, yeah, Christy, I would much rather be able to hand you. He's like, I would not hand you 20 qualified leads right now because the level of energy that you have, which is none, is not going to serve those leads well at all. And it's only going to be damaging. There is no ROI on that. It's damaging to your bottom line. He's like, what do you need right now to recharge? And I'm like, I really don't even know. And then, he gives me the space to just answer. And my answer was, it'd be nice just to have time to read a damn book. And he's like, okay, so if I gave you the assignment to just go read a book, knowing that that's going to re-energize you to create Christy Magic, which is apparently what it's called now, Christy Magic, to apply to those 5 qualified leads, your business would explode and your revenue increases, your bottom line, like the ROI on that is exponential because you're coming at it with a fully charged battery. So figure those things out. That to me, after that conversation, also became, this is professional. I need methods and ways to then fully recharge so that I can be all that I can for my people, for the marketplace, for the groups that I'm in, for all the people around me, and myself. I have to do that. Like, to me, that is part of success, is I'm getting to the point where I am taking care of me first. And it's not even just taking care. It is intentionally putting things back into myself that is going to recharge those batteries so that Christy creates Christy Magic. If you are also in that place, I would highly encourage you to look at, what are the things that when you feel like you're having just an on day, like you are firing in all cylinders, take inventory of that. What is working for you? And it needs to be what's working for you from the inside. Your locus of control, so to speak, needs to come from inside, not an external force. while I love sitting on my porch swing, and I saw my first hummingbird this morning. I'm so excited. Sitting on the porch swing watching the hummingbirds. That is a moment of contentment and peace for me. I know if I have those moments, I then feel more centered. So I need to incorporate that moment. That locus of control is because I'm showing up to that moment in a certain way. Where could I show up in other places that way? So don't stop with an external reason as to why this works. Go into how you are in that moment. So back to this is professional. Same concept. When you show up in front of your team, when you show up in front of your investors, when you show up in front of your potential new client, your qualified lead, when you show up to an open networking, when you show up to a leads group, pay attention to how you're showing up. Is it showing up fully charged? Is it showing up in your version of professional? And so aside from all the motivational speak right there, your version of professional also should be clear for me to get, because sometimes it does get confusing. The Gen Xers, of my day, holy moly. I mean, we did have we started casual Fridays. Well, now we've got, that is casual every single day. And sometimes you're lucky if somebody's wearing pants on the below screen. I am, don't worry about it. But you just never know what's going on everywhere else here, right? So the concepts of these things, it's like, how are you showing up? It's not just about what you're wearing. It's your attitude. It's your language. It's how not just your words, it's your body language. So the energy that you're bringing to this room matters greatly. Make sure that you clearly define it so it's clear for me to understand it in the room. So as a recipient of your energy, your professionalism, make it clearly defined. One other tactic that's really good for groups is define it on the front end. Let's have those clear expectations as to what we think professional is in this group. And then that way we know this little sandbox that we're playing in together. Come to an agreement. This is what we agree upon. No name calling should always be part of it. I hate name calling. It's just ridiculous. Now, yeah, no, I hate name calling. I do have some labels for some people, but it's not it's not Trump level name calling. Okay. It's not that. We have nicknames, funny nicknames. And if you're on the inside jokes of some of these things, you'll know. They're very Smurfy names. They're fantastic Smurfy names. So, all wrapped up, told some stories, talk about what success is, talk about the difference between, your dated information, professional information from 1 Minute Manager to today, because 1 Minute Manager is pretty dated. It's still great stuff. Don't get me wrong. Great stuff is in here. Now we have, new generations of the workforce. Let's define what professional is and looks like and behaves. And I think LinkedIn has at least got a good start on that. From a marketing sense, and this is a total digression. From a marketing sense, I don't give me all this wonderful stuff in this campaign on the front end, and the tool you're going to have me use is this gender thing. Fine, whatever. It was such a letdown. It was a letdown. I want it to be a real movement on all of the things professional, not just whether or not you can put your gender on your profile. Come on. You can type that in. Honestly, it's so lackluster at the end. That part was the letdown. I can appreciate it's there for those people who that feels good for them. But again, I'm the tactic is you could have typed that in. It's okay. But I love the campaign and how it gets presented of what professional looks like now. So you don't have to be dressed to the nines, and you can do your natural hair. You can be tatted up. You can wear chucks. We don't care. Like, bring your kids, have your pets. It's great. Just get the work done. To me, that's also professional. Do what you say you're going to do. Get the work done. Align with the goals and objectives. And this is a whole strategy conversation I'm not going to have today, but just get the work done that brings that dream to life. Really, I don't care what you look like, or I do care about people. Okay. But let me just say, all this other stuff is kind of minor. It's very, very, very minor to me in my business. I love individualism because I think that those superpowers joined together as a team is definitely world saving. And I'm just going to stop there and tell you how much I appreciate you. Oh, my listener and watcher out there, please give me some feedback. I'd love to hear from those that are participating in this, listening to us. Give me an idea. Like, if you have somebody that you would love to see spotlighted on Small Business Success Talk, send them to me. I'd love to know more about them. Let them share this platform so that they've got more people who get to learn about them as well, which is always the bonus. It's just extra content to be able to share out there with the world. With that, I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot because I know you're out there. I'm not just talking to myself, which is very helpful, especially when I need to transition to something new myself. So I've just kind of put this all out there. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your feedback. Appreciate you still checking us out. Leave us a great review. Make sure to hit subscribe. Find us on your favorite channels, or just simply go to smallbusinesssuccesstalk.com. You'll find everything there, including past episodes. You should go check out a bunch of those because they have been some fabulous guests over the past couple of years, and I'm excited to have more coming soon. Thanks, everybody. I've been your host, Christy Smallwood, with Small Business Success Talk.